For more on all of the top political headlines, we want to bring in WGN's political analyst and host of the Political Report, Paul Lisnek. Paul,
guys.
good to see you on a Thursday. Let's start with the Mar-a-Lago documents and the DOJ making a move to hold Trump's office in contempt here. What is the potential for that?
Well, that's a big step to do that. But what they're also holding is an office, so it's an entity. So it's not about anybody going to jail. It's about trying to get a judge to impose a fine on the Trump office daily until they turn over all the documents that they have. Now, Trump's very rich, so maybe they won't care initially. But depending on the amount that, if the judge agrees to do it, how much he puts on him, it can add up readily. But we don't know those numbers yet.
Let's talk about Brittany Griner, the big story of the day, the prisoner swap. We know what happened. We know Paul Whelan is not going to come home today, but it happened, the swap in the United Arab Emirates, a place that President Biden has really solidified relationships with, right?
You know, there's no question about that. He's under a lot of pressure over that, right? Takes a lot of flack about it. You know, the bottom line is, you know, you can have Brittany Griner home, and this is apparently what Russia and Putin said. You can have one for one, her for him.
But not both.
That's it. You're not getting both. So it's 0 or 1. What do you want? Now, we don't know the insides of those negotiations. I understand the Paul Whelan situation. There are other people, and President Biden made a pledge that he will continue to go after everybody and bringing them home. But I imagine if you're Brittany Griner's family, this almost 1-year ordeal now comes to an end. There's discussion. Maybe we gave up a really bad guy because we gave up this bomb. You know, all of that is open for discussion. But the bottom line is, if you believe in getting Americans home where they're safe, then he did what he had to do. I don't think he had much option.
We just heard Shannon's report on the Respect for Marriage Act. Tell us how you think the Supreme Court, though, might impact what happened in Congress today.
So the whole reason it happened in Congress, Ray, is because Clarence Thomas in the abortion Dobbs case said, bring me the same-sex marriage case back. I think we're going to reverse that, too. Not exact words, right. But because essentially he said, you have no right to privacy, and that case was found under a right to privacy. So this respect for marriage connotation and credit is being given to the Senate, the Congress are passing it, and that's fine. I understand it, but I think people need to understand what it really does. If the Obergefell case is not overturned, then the LGBT community has far more rights than they will have if it is overturned, even with this new law. Because what this new law says is, if you get married in a state that provides for same-sex marriage, like Illinois, then that marriage must be recognized everywhere. And that, I think we talked when the abortion thing came down, where I said same-sex marriage is a tougher issue because it's a right you can't have in one state and not in the others. They fixed that. But if you are living in Indiana or a state that doesn't allow same-sex marriage, it's essentially requiring LGBTQ people to move to a state, go to a state, maybe own land in a state where they have to go to get that same-sex marriage, and arguably that makes you a second-class citizen. So they did what they could do. It was compromise, better than nothing, but it certainly isn't what the House tried to do years ago, and it's certainly not the rights the Obergefell case currently provides.
The Trump Organization found guilty on all counts of tax
15
fraud.
of them.
What does this really mean other than a slap on the hand and maybe some fines?
Yeah, it's about $1.6 million that they could get hit with, and Micah, that is all it means. Just that the organization has that look. But here's the thing. We also know that the New York prosecutors, which we thought had shut down that investigation of the Trump finances and organization, apparently they have not. So the information garnered here and what the jury did here sends a message to other prosecutors that it is something that they should look at. It would have been worse for the prosecution if they had lost, because if they had lost that effort, then you've got the situation where any other investigation, you see it's a witch hunt, it's a sham. And that's one of the reasons it's tough to kind of pre-guess DOJ. You don't have to say we do these reviews every week, and I will often get an email or a message from a viewer who says, you know, what about Hunter Biden? Why don't we hear about him? And the bottom line, which people understand, is we don't know what the DOJ is doing, but here is what I'll say to the folks who want to hear about Hunter Biden. The DOJ investigation was not shut down by the Biden administration. Biden could have shut it down. He did not. It continues under a Trump-appointed prosecutor. So the bottom line is, if there's something involving Hunter Biden that comes to light eventually, my guess is he will be prosecuted, and we will see that happen. The tools are in place for that to happen.
Supreme Court hearing some big cases this week, chief among them election laws and how state legislatures may be able to sort of hijack control.
Ray, that's a case that people's eyes glaze over, but they shouldn't. Because what that case says is, it's called the Independent State Legislature Doctrine. And what it is, it's a fringe kind of theory that reared its head back in the Bush versus Gore election, and now it's come back. It's being opposed by conservatives, Republicans, almost everybody, but this court agreed to take it. And essentially what it says is this. According to some little provisions in the Constitution that they can read strictly, if a state legislature decides that we're not going to have the same number of polling places, we're not going to have drop boxes, we're not going to allow early voting, we're going to send a new slate of electors to Congress. We don't like the person who won, Republican or Democrat, we're going to do our own thing. What this case says is the courts cannot be a place for challenge. That what the legislature says goes, and the courts cannot be involved. Now, arguably, that goes against everything this country is all about, checks and balances, and one branch checking another. But literally, if the Supreme Court goes for that, and I don't know whether they will, but they did take the case. They usually take cases when they want to do something about it. If they go for that, that truly spells a real challenge to democracy as we know it.
Can't let the week go by without talking about the bonus election night we had Tuesday night. Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker came down to the wire. Now the Dems, because Warnock won, the Dems have 51 seats.
And what that means, Micah, is, some people thought, well, it's 51, so what? They controlled it anyway. But it's a big deal, as you know, because now the Democrats actually will have that extra vote on every single committee. This past couple of years, where there's the same number, tie versus tie, that's it. Now the Democrats' desire will go because they'll have that extra vote. It was an incredibly important thing for the Democrats to accomplish, and a strong message for the Republicans, and maybe for President Trump, because he handpicked Herschel Walker as his prime candidate.
And the January 6th committee wrapping up its work here, expecting to have a report out maybe just before Christmas.
Yeah, Benny Thompson, the chairman, has said December 21st. We should see that report. They plan to have a televised hearing at some point as well, so we'll see if that happens. And we're also going to hear about whether or not they issue criminal appeals on, just so you know, Jeff Clark, Mark Meadows, Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, and Donald Trump. Those are all the names being bandied about.
What's on your show this week?
This weekend, I've got Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas will join me to talk about those tax bills we all got in the mail and we're not happy about. And Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez comes on to talk about what it's like to be a first-term congressman. She was there when Nancy Pelosi said she was going to step down and all that. She shares her thoughts about beginning her term.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.